Alright everyone, so we're here to have some fun. We're here to see some memes and learn a little bit about our memory process and how we learn anything. So in the last video, we take a look at what are different types of memory. Alright, we take a look at sensory memory, short-term memory and long-term memory, haptic, acoustic, olfactory and gustatory, and we realize that there are different parts of the brain that are involved when we are learning anything. Alright, so in this episode we go through these two parts, different stages of memory formation and some brain and how brain supports learning in some forms. Alright, so we have this beautiful image that external events are coming to our sensory memory, then they get encoded to short-term or working memory, and they again encoded to long-term memory, and we retrieve them. And you should know, not only is my short-term memory bad, but so is my short-term memory. Yeah, that's how my short-term memory is short. Okay, let's move on. So we have encoding, storage, retrieval and consolidation. Alright, so we take a look at these in details in following videos. So for encoding, it's like referring to the process of actively inputting the units of information. Alright, to put it in simple terms. By the way, I made this image with DALL-E. These images are really fun. We get to see some of them in the following sections. Alright, so the second part is storage. Refers to the process of actively storing the units of information that have been encoded. So like the day one of programming, you use Google, but after 10 years you still use Google because you don't know what to do. The same thing is true for me. Whenever I want to edit a video, I have to keep looking up what should I do whenever I'm editing. Alright, so the next one is retrieval. Refers to the process of actively retrieving the units of information that have been encoded and stored. Alright, so we get something, we store it, now we want to retrieve it, which means we want to get information from our stored long-term memory to short-term memory to actively think about it. Alright, but what if I told you that music you always hear in your head isn't actually playing? That's a true fact. Yeah. Alright, so we have also consolidation, transfer of information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Alright, so pay attention to this part. Retrieval is getting information from your long-term memory, put it into short-term memory to think about it, because whenever we want to think about anything, we have this information in our short-term memory or working memory. Alright, but when you want to learn it for later, you want to transfer it from short-term memory to long-term memory. And hippocampus is involved in, depending on the information, hippocampus can be involved. It's like the Matrix, when they say, oh, I know something, and it just gets into your brain. Alright, and it's another really cool art by DALL-E. I love it. You're putting information into a container. Okay, so there are also some other topics. Let's take a look at them. Memory formation based on the type of memory. So in the last video we take a look at different types of long-term memory. For example, if you are learning something physical, like how to ride a bicycle, different parts of your brain are involved. And if you're learning something intellectual, like a new language, or even what you had for lunch the other day, different parts of your brain are involved. Alright, if you want to know more about it, search for something like HM. There's a patient called HM. They removed his hippocampus and he couldn't learn intellectual information. Alright, he could learn, for example, how to draw or ride a bicycle or play piano, but he couldn't memorize anything intellectual. Alright, so we also have where our memory is stored. We take a look at it in the following videos. Failure in memory retrieval. We also take a look at it in future videos. I'm just teasing you guys with what we're gonna do in the future. And we also have something really cool. It's cognitive maps. Alright, so basically different set of neural pathways will get activated for each of these maps. Okay, and you can facilitate learning process by relating information to these cognitive maps. For example, we have self map, okay, information that are involved to yourself. And I asked chat to DALL-E to give me a meme about self map, and it gave me a nonsense like this. It's just crazy. What is this? What is this? Come on, man. So we have something called friends map. There is different neural pathways that are activated when you're thinking about your friend or relating information to your friends. All right, it's like being in an introvert in a party with your extrovert friend. Your extrovert friend is having fun and a random person is right next to you. So I thought it was really fun. We have co-worker maps, people that you've worked with, and there's this really interesting one. Me watching married people at work flirt with their co-workers. Come on, they're married and they're flirting with other people. it's just fun. You have to admit that. We have also family map, really cool. And Mr. B, who knew his family are so hot? Everyone thought they would build something like this. Yeah. Alright, so there are of course more maps. If you have anything in mind, you can just put a map in front of it and you just cluster information in that topic. Alright, so yeah, so this is different stages of memory formation. We get into details of each part of them and how we can exploit the scientific facts about each part on how we can improve our learning process. Alright, so now let's take a look at different method that brain supports learning. There's generally 3, and the basis for all of them is neuroplasticity, is the basis of all of them. So basically the brain's ability to change its physical structure. Okay, so first one is chemical substances, which is actually, we can also call it neuroplasticity. It is mostly our short-term memory. It is unstable. So this image here is an image of a neuron, and whenever neurons are next to each other and they want to transfer information for a short period of time, they use some chemical substances in between the brain. So these are unstable. They usually fade away after a short period of time. So it's basically not like this, my long-term memory versus my short-term memory. Okay, these are not big or small. Okay, they're something that just fade away in a short period of time. So we have something called structural changes, interconnected networks of neuron. Okay, so whoa, what happened just? So we have something like this. We have long-term memory. So these structural changes are similar to long-term memory. So this long-term memory, its basis is structural changes. It takes time to form. Okay, well, I also made this one with DALL-E. I wanted a meme with SpongeBob, but it just gave me something like this. So in these parts you forget. A good example of it is that you're in a lecture and the next day you forget most of the stuff that you are not important or you haven't practiced. If you don't practice, you just forget about it. Alright, that's the short-term memory. But if you want the stuff in your long-term memory, you have to practice it. So we have also something called a specialized area. So specific parts of the brain participates in the learning process of a specific information. For example, there are specific regions for language, face recognition, motor activity, and spatial recognition. What does that mean? So take a look at this picture. Each color represents a different type of information. For example, this gray area, which is number 1 in the back of your head, is called occipital lobe. It is mostly responsible for getting the visual information. And other parts, for example, this yellow part, number 3, it is mostly related to your motor cortex area. We will call it motor cortex, and if you are moving your hand or your body or your leg, this part of your brain gets mostly activated, and it obviously encodes some information related to, for example, hand-eye coordination. There are other parts are involved, but these specific parts are for specific tasks. All right, So know that there are specific parts, and if you want to learn something, the more parts you involve in your learning process, the better you learn that information. You're facilitating your process of learning. And so if our brain is really cool like this, why learning is really hard for us? First of all, stuff like strokes can happen. This is the worst case scenario. All right, so strokes physically damages the brain and we can't do anything about it. Another one is bad habits. You have to do the work, man, and the practice is a must, because it takes both energy and time to build connection in your brain, and you have to just practice it like building muscles. You keep working out to build muscles, stay fit. You have to do the same thing if you want to learn anything. So this neuroplasticity can work both ways. You forget if you don't practice the thing that you want to learn. All right? And what if I told you potato? At this point, these memes are not related. I'm just adding these here to draw your attention and have some fun. Alright, so the next part is genetics are important, but it's not everything. And you have to keep it in your mind. I mean, if you look at the history, usually the kids from smart people are also smart. Okay, I was actually listening to a podcast. I link it somewhere in the description. You can check that podcast. They talk about this topic in more detail. All right, and most importantly, learning is personalized. Teaching should be personalized as well. One plan cannot work for everyone, but one roadmap can do. So what does this mean actually? Okay, it means that we learn differently in a school. But what do I mean by if we had a one roadmap? So it's not far-fetched that if you want to learn a new vocabulary and look at its image for that vocabulary and see some video example that uses that vocabulary, facilitates the learning process. All right, this is a fact. It's not like, oh, it's not true for everyone. But for example, sometimes some of us need to write something down to learn it, and some people need to verbally practice it. People learn different from each other, okay? And some subjects are easier for some of us and some are harder. For example, some people are really good at math and some others are really good at art. But what if I told you Command plus Control plus Shift plus 4, then a space, then clicking a window took a screenshot? I mean, it's really cool. All right, so let's summarize. Yes sir. So far we took a look at different types of memory. We have different stages of memory: storage, encoding, storage, retrieval, and consolidation. And brains also support different type of learning. We have chemical substances for short-term memory. We have structural changes, connection between networks of neuron, and we have a specialized area. And in other videos, we take a look at some brain hacks, some habits that we can do to facilitate learning. And see, we have this retrieval, concentration, and storage, and encoding. We take a look at them in more details in the following video. All right, have a good one. But wait a second. I realized something really cool. If I keep saying subscribe, if you look at the YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed already, the subscribe button will shine. Isn't this really cool?